Cameron Diaz. Remember her jaw-dropping debut in The Mask? That red dress, that smile. Half of the 90s generation had a lifelong crush right there. Then came Charlie's Angels. There's something about Mary, Shrek. It felt like Cameron was in every hit movie for over a decade. She was Hollywood's golden girl. But here's the plot twist. In 2014, Cameron said, "I'm done." Just like that. Imagine Cristiano Ronaldo in his prime saying, "You know what? I'd rather run a bakery." Yeah, that's how shocking it was. Why did she quit? Cameron herself admitted that Hollywood was draining her. Mentally, physically, emotionally, she didn't want to be a 24/7 product for studios. Instead, she chose family life with her husband Benji Madden and their daughter. Oh, and she also launched her own organic wine brand called Aveline. So while fans were waiting for Charlie's Angels 3, Cameron was busy changing diapers and pouring Chardonnay. And if you ask her about a comeback, she's basically like, "Guys, I've moved on. Try the wine, it's good." Sometimes you just gotta respect the decision. Cameron left the stage while she was still on top, proving pajamas and peace are worth more than paparazzi. Now, at number 9, we've got the undisputed queen of rom-coms, Meg Ryan. If you've seen Sleepless in Seattle, You've Got Mail, or When Harry Met Sally, then you know Meg Ryan wasn't just acting. She was romantic comedy. She had that girl next door vibe mixed with movie star glow, and audiences couldn't get enough. But by the mid-2000s, she quietly disappeared. No big farewell, no drama-filled exit, just gone. Why? Well, years of tabloid scandals, public scrutiny, and the unrealistic standards of Hollywood finally caught up with her. Instead of forcing herself to smile for the cameras, she decided to prioritize her own happiness. Now, Meg spends most of her time living privately, writing, and raising her kids. Every once in a while, she shows up at events and people are like, "Wait, is that Meg Ryan?" Yes, it is. She's just not running around on red carpets anymore. It's kind of funny when you think about it. She made a career out of happy endings, and in real life, her happy ending was leaving the circus behind. At number 8, let's talk about a name that shocked fans when she vanished, Bridget Fonda. Coming from Hollywood royalty, the Fonda family, Bridget was expected to dominate. And for a while she did. With roles in Single White Female, Point of No Return, and Jackie Brown, she had both talent and fame locked down. But then, in 2002, she walked away. Why? Simple. She wanted a normal life, focusing on family instead of scripts and sets. And unlike many stars who take a break but sneak back in, Bridget never returned. She was serious about leaving. Now here's the kicker. In 2022, paparazzi caught rare photos of her after years of silence. The internet went crazy. People were shocked at how different she looked. But that's the point. Bridget stopped living under Hollywood's stay young forever rule and started living like, well, the rest of us. One fan wrote online, "That can't be Bridget Fonda." But honestly, it is. It's just Bridget without the makeup, gowns, and photo filters. Grocery shopping in sweatpants instead of strutting on red carpets. And honestly, that sounds like freedom. Ah yes, number 7. Phoebe Cates, the ultimate 80s crush. If you've seen Fast Times at Ridgemont High, you know why teenage boys couldn't stop talking about her. Add Gremlins into the mix, and Phoebe was on track for a long, shiny Hollywood career, but nope. At the height of her fame, Phoebe decided, acting is fun, but family is better. She married actor Kevin Kline, had kids, and pretty much vanished from Hollywood. No big announcement, no press conference, or she just dipped. These days, Phoebe runs a boutique in New York City. So instead of battling slimy monsters in Gremlins 3, she's selling handbags and dresses. And if you ask her fans, they'll say, "Phoebe, we miss you." But Phoebe's like, "Sorry, I've got a sale going on at the store." Priorities. Honestly, there's something cool about that. While most people chase fame their whole lives, Phoebe walked away from it like, "Meh, I'd rather sell scarves." That's a power move. Kicking off part 2 with someone you might recognize from your childhood movie marathons. Mara Wilson. Remember Matilda? The adorable little girl with magical powers who took down mean adults? Yep, that was Mara. And before Matilda, she stole hearts in Mrs. Doubtfire and Miracle on 34th Street. Basically, she was Hollywood's go-to kid for cute but smart roles. But here's the catch. Mara didn't love Hollywood back. The fame, the pressure, the endless comparisons to other child stars, it just wasn't her thing. By her teen years, she decided, you know what? Acting is fun, but I'd rather have a normal life. So instead of fighting for the next blockbuster role, Mara pursued writing and stage acting. These days, she's an author and mental health advocate, openly talking about the struggles of child stardom. And honestly, she's hilarious on Twitter. Imagine Matilda with Wi-Fi and a sarcastic sense of humor. Fans sometimes beg her to make a comeback, but Mara usually laughs it off like, "Guys, I retired at 13. It's over. Move on." That's iconic. Next up, we're rewinding all the way to the 70s for Ali MacGraw, the unforgettable star of Love Story. That film made her a household name, and she even snagged an Academy Award nomination for it. For a while, Ali was everywhere. Magazine covers, big movies, Hollywood parties. But her Hollywood story wasn't all roses. After a series of personal struggles, including high-profile relationships and the exhausting spotlight, Ali stepped back from acting. She chose peace over pressure and eventually moved to New Mexico, living a life that's far from the chaos of Los Angeles. Here's the funny part. Ali once said she found more happiness in practicing yoga and living simply than in chasing scripts. Imagine telling a 1970s fan that their dream girl swapped red carpets for downward dog poses in the desert. Yep, that's Ali. What's cool is she didn't just quit. She transformed her life into something more meaningful for herself. Instead of people asking what's her next role, the real question became, what's her next yoga pose? Now, let's talk about the OG queen of quitting, Greta Garbo. This one is legendary. Garbo wasn't just an actress, she was an icon. Known for her mysterious aura, stunning looks, and unforgettable performances in films like Camille and Ninochka, she ruled Hollywood in the 1920s and 30s. But here's where it gets interesting. At the absolute peak of her fame, Garbo simply walked away. No farewell movie, no grand finale, she just vanished. At 36 years old, she decided she'd had enough of Hollywood's spotlight. And for the rest of her life, she stayed out of the limelight, rarely giving interviews and living quietly in New York. The press kept calling her the recluse, and fans kept hoping for a comeback. But Garbo never looked back. Her famous quote says it all. "I want to be alone," and she meant it. Honestly, it's kind of badass. In a world where everyone is desperate to stay relevant, Garbo built her legend by disappearing. And somehow, that made her even more iconic. It's like the ultimate mic drop in Hollywood history. Let's roll back to the golden age of Hollywood, where Doris Day reigned supreme. She wasn't just an actress, she was the girl next door of America. Sparkly smile, bubbly personality, and that voice? Pure sunshine. She lit up the screen in classics like Pillow Talk and Calamity Jane. And let's be honest, her songs were basically the soundtrack of the 50s and 60s. But here's the twist. After dominating music and movies, Doris Day decided she'd had enough of the Hollywood machine. Fame wasn't exactly kind to her behind the scenes. She dealt with personal struggles, financial issues, thanks to shady business managers, and an overwhelming sense of burnout. So what did she do? She didn't just quit Hollywood. She turned her energy towards something she truly cared about: animal welfare. Doris became a passionate advocate, even founding animal rights organizations long before it was cool. It's kind of hilarious if you think about it. While fans were begging for another rom-com, Doris was busy rescuing dogs and cats. If Instagram had existed back then, her feed would have been like, "Today I saved a golden retriever. And no, I'm not coming back to make Pillow Talk 2. Her exit from fame made her even more loved. People realized she wasn't just the smiling face on screen. She was a woman who chose kindness and authenticity over red carpets. And honestly, that's the kind of plot twist Hollywood could never script. Now let's fast forward to the 90s. If you grew up on thrillers or romantic dramas from that era, you definitely saw Grace Kelly Takes the Crown. It's the 1950s, and Grace Kelly is Hollywood's golden girl. Roles in classics like Rear Window, High Noon, and To Catch a Thief made her the definition of elegance. Alfred Hitchcock called her his ideal actress. Critics adored her, fans worshipped her, and she even bagged an Oscar for The Country Girl. Basically, if Hollywood was a high school, Grace Kelly was prom queen, valedictorian, and head cheerleader all rolled into one. instead of staying on top of the film world, Grace decided to marry a prince. Yep. In 1956, she married Prince Rainier III of Monaco, and just like that, Grace Kelly traded film sets for a palace. One day, she's filming with Cary Grant. The next, she's waving from a balcony wearing a tiara. Talk about a career change. Hollywood was stunned. Fans thought it was just a break. You'd like, okay, Grace, enjoy your honeymoon. We'll see you back on set soon. But nope. She never returned to acting. The reason? Monaco didn't want their princess playing make-believe on camera. The fairy tale had rules, and starring in movies wasn't one of them. Now imagine how wild this was. Hollywood basically lost its brightest star, not because she retired, not because of scandal, but because she literally became royalty. Other actresses quit for family or burnout. Grace quit because she had to run a country. That's next level. Of course, fans still begged her to return. Hitchcock himself even tried to convince her for one last movie. But Palace Life said, "Sorry, Hitch. Princess Grace has a kingdom to manage." And Grace herself seemed content. She once said, "The freedom of being yourself is a gift." Grace Kelly's exit made her even more legendary. By walking away at her peak, she froze her Hollywood image in time. Forever glamorous, forever perfect, forever untouchable. Unlike many stars who fade or struggle with comebacks, Grace's story had a clean cut. She left the stage and walked straight into history books. And honestly, leaving behind Oscar nominations for palace banquets is probably the most dramatic mic drop in Hollywood history. Saving the most famous example for last, Shirley Temple. If you think Disney child stars had it tough, imagine being Shirley in the 1930s. She wasn't just a child star, she was the child star. Curly hair, dimples, cheerful songs. She practically carried Hollywood during the Great Depression. Studios made millions off her films, and families found hope just by watching her dance on screen. But here's the shocker. By her teenage years, Shirley's star power started fading. Audiences didn't want to see their favorite curly-haired kid grow up. And instead of forcing her way back into the spotlight, Shirley made a bold choice. She quit acting in her early 20s. Now, most child stars spiral after Hollywood. But Shirley? She rewrote the script. She went into politics, served as a U.S. ambassador, and made a name for herself in diplomacy. Imagine that. One day you're singing On the Good Ship Lollipop, and the next you're negotiating with foreign leaders. That's the ultimate career switch-up. What makes her story so funny and impressive is that she basically proved Hollywood wrong. The industry thought she'd be nothing without acting, but she ended up shaping international policy. It's like your childhood idol suddenly becoming your boss at the UN. Fans always remembered her as the sweet child star, but Shirley herself wanted to be remembered as more than that. And she succeeded. She's proof that sometimes leaving fame doesn't mean you fade away. It means you shine in a completely different way.